Hi, my name is Greg Jackson, and I'm presenting a review of this article from researchers Brett Smith and James Smick called The Status of Strings and Orchestra Programs in United States Schools. The purpose of this study was to monitor the status of string and orchestra programs in the United States and to gather descriptive information in the areas of program characteristics, curriculum, support, and student-teacher demographics. A second purpose of this article was to document the trends observed when compared with results of previous studies. Based on the review of literature, specific variables were identified as potential for trends: string student enrollment, symphonic orchestra offerings, enhancement offerings, private lesson enrollment, string teacher shortages, and student-teacher demographic information. All members of the American String Teacher Association, indicating K through 12 string teaching as part of their duties, were contacted to complete a web-based survey. This was somewhere around 2,232 that participated. This type of research is a quantitative correlational predictive type of study. After follow-up, 369 respondents participated, which was about 16.5%. Although teachers indicated growth in both number and size of programs, increased utilization of approved curricular, and representative racial demographics among students, analysis revealed the following concerns: a decline in the offering of symphonic orchestra and other enhancements, a decline in student participation in private instruction, and unrepresentative gender and racial demographics of string teachers, along with factors that indicate a continuing string teacher shortage. So some of the insights that I was able to gain from this article include that there was an overall increase in the number of schools offering string instruction, but enhancements like symphonic orchestra and private lessons have decreased. There are 3 times the amount of female string players than male, but this proportion is not comparable to the 2010 census. There were also predicted increases in future string positions, but a potential shortage of string teachers, and the predominant demographic for string teachers based off studies from 1998 to 2010 is white, female, and with a master's degree. So get into that in a little bit. The subjects and participants that were used, as I mentioned, were K through 12 teachers, members of ASTA, and the dependent measure that I found along with the independent variable: string teacher enrollment offers enhancement classes, symphonic or full orchestra offerings, enrollment for private instruction, string teacher shortages, demographics information between students and teachers. And once again, the method used was a modified questionnaire originally used by Alexander and Smith in 2011. And these were based on similar forms developed by Hamann. As far as, before I get to race and ethnicity, the number of schools offering string instruction, overall string enrollment, has been increasing, and string instruction was more likely to be offered in suburban areas followed by urban and rural locales, with few programs being offered in areas of low socioeconomic level. Studies of new string programs found that most were being started in suburban areas, followed by urban, then rural areas. String classes were also reported as typically occurring during the school day, with beginning string classes being offered primarily in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. Gillespie and Hamann in 1998 found that over 2/3 of those students who enrolled in beginning classes continued their orchestra involvement through high school. While the number of string students and string programs have increased, enhancements such as full or symphonic orchestra offerings have decreased. These full or symphonic orchestra offerings that were reported around 50% of the programs in 1998 then down to 44% in 2002, 40% in 2010. And as far as support, the greatest support usually reported by participants was from their music teaching colleagues and the parents of teachers and their programs. The National String Project Consortium in 2010 reported that respondents ranked non-music teaching colleagues, counselors, and district administrators among the least supportive constituents of their string programs. As far as race, participants estimated the percentage of students in their classes by race ethnicity, yielding the following means and ranges. American Indian, 1.2%, and this is with a range of 0 to 25%. For Asian, usually in string and orchestra programs, there would be about 13.5% that he was able to find in this research. For Black and non-Hispanic, that was about 11.6% that were involved. For White non-Hispanic, 56.4%, and for Hispanic, 15.3%. Respondents replied to the race ethnicity question as "I don't know" in about 18.2% of cases, and "I prefer not to answer" in 19.2% of cases. The percentages reported are of those that chose to respond. In response to students' gender identification, participants responded 39% male and 59.6% female. 2% other were also indicated. And then respondents also were able to indicate "I prefer not to answer" in 33.9% of cases. 7 respondents elaborated on their other responses. 3 indicated "I don't know," 3 indicated "trans" or transgender, and 1 indicated "not available." Participants identified themselves by gender, with 64% representing women, men 34%, and then "prefer not to answer" 2%, and then race, 91% white, non-Hispanic were 2%, 91% white, non-Hispanic, Asian 2%, Black 2%, and non-Hispanic 0.3%. American Indian was 4%, and then you had some that prefer not to answer. The majority of participants, which was 66%, reported earning a master's degree, 16% some graduate study, then 11% bachelor's degree, 4% doctorate, and 3% ABD. Overall, reported string student enrollment continues to show ever-increasing numbers of students that are playing string instruments. During the time period from 1998 to 2010, every published study reported growth in string enrollment. Continuing this trend, 61% of elementary level respondents, 55% of middle, junior level, junior high school respondents, and 61% of high school respondents indicated increases in their overall student enrollment numbers for the 2015 to 2015 period. While school orchestra directors appear to be doing a good job of recruiting new students to their programs, they may be increasingly limiting the scope of their programs, and this can really hurt, especially for schools that are only trying to do string orchestra only and not including other students in different band areas such as jazz or concert band, marching band, and then making that into a full orchestra. Following previously reported declines in full orchestra offerings, only 25% of respondents in the current study indicated that they teach full orchestra programs. And, that's pretty low, especially when you consider the amount of orchestras involved and the amount of literature involved for full orchestra. Other course varietal offerings have almost universally decreased since 2002, although string quartet and chamber orchestra were shown to have increased since 2010. And both offerings were still lower than reported in 2002. Courses such as fiddle class, guitar class, strolling strings, mariachi ensembles have decreased greatly or remained small since 2002. It's important to note that the increased enrollment numbers reported in the current study for this article from Brett Smith, that coupled with decreased offerings and program enhancements might represent a refusal or systematic difficulty by teachers in the field to respond to the ever increasing calls to include such enhancements to create well-rounded orchestra programs. And then going along with some of the racial demographics that I had, similar to previous studies, typical teacher respondents in study were shown to be 64% female, and then overwhelmingly white, non-Hispanic at 92%. While the gender percentage of teachers reflects that of current string teacher enrollment, the racial makeup of string teachers does not reflect either that of student enrollment or the latest U.S. Census. We hope that the increased diversity occurring in string classes will soon be reflected within the teaching profession. So the researchers, Smith and Mick, they're really hoping that as they start encouraging advocacy efforts and then aiming that towards recruiting minority students into the profession, this can promote representative racial diversity among its teachers. String teachers are well qualified for the classroom, more than 70% responded having an advanced degree, and virtually all of them have a valid teaching certificate in the state. But the string teaching workforce appears to have longevity as well, with the average number of years teaching calculated at 17.69%. Years. These data may be biased because this is from the ASTA string population. So, following previously reported declines in full orchestra offerings, only 25% of respondents in the study indicate that they teach string symphonic orchestra at their schools. This could also be the result of the growing age for that particular branch of teachers where, maybe they are getting overwhelmed with the amount of paperwork and things and just may not have the energy to include extra offerings for their programs. And mentioned the teacher demographics. I hit the button earlier, but it didn't go through. Now, future need for string and orchestra teachers. Respondents indicated that with prior studies of this nature that survey results would present anticipated needs for string and orchestra teachers into the future. Even though the projection is speculative, might have a similar analysis. From the current sample, the researchers Mick and Smith were able to calculate from the number of respondents represented districts employing 2,151 string teachers that, even if it was teaching one class, they asked how many open positions these teachers anticipated, both in the next year, which at that time was 2016, and in the near future, which is 2017 to 2020, which would be our current time now. Respondents anticipated a total of 434 full-time or part-time positions, or 19.9% of the current total number of string teachers in their district. If part-time positions are excluded, the figure is 18.8% of current teachers. Alexander and Smith in 2011 found a similar predicted increase in positions of 18.4% based on 2,960 anticipated positions derived from an estimated 16,100 string teachers at the time. They were unable to find an acceptable current estimate of the number of string teachers nationwide, so Smith was able to use the figure from 2011 of 16,100 teachers at a conservative estimate and project a total of 3,027 string teacher positions will be available from academic year 2016 to 2017, then 2019 to 2020 at a rate of 757 new positions per year. So that will kind of be something to really keep up. Start finding new students that will be able to qualify and be ready to accept the positions for the declining rates and teachers.